In this video, I want to look at some of the strategies that Walton-On-The-Naze authorities are thinking about using in order to regenerate this derelict coastal town. This coastal town is based in Essex, as you might have seen in my other video where I explore why did it need rebranding in the first place. So let's look at them. There are 7 options, and I want to go through the costs and benefits of each option, and these are different strategies. It's like the different stimuli we can use to rebrand a place. As I said, this is a very similar case study to Cornwall in terms of why it needed rebranding, but I think the strategies are quite different, so it's important that we have a look at them. So they are planning to build new commuter housing and expand the town and renovate the old properties. So by doing this, they want to attract young people to come and live there, stop the brain drain, and perhaps attract the professional and the commuters, people who earn a lot, but they want to work in the city, but they love nature, they want to live in the countryside, not countryside, but near the sea, maybe those kind of people, but they want sophisticated housing. That's who they want to attract, and also they want the environmental quality of the place to look good, because when a tourist or visitor, or even just photographs for brochures or whatever to get people to come, the place has got to look good for that to happen. So that's one reason of renovating the old buildings. The problem is that a lot of this might be industrial heritage. If there were a lot of, houses built with beams and whatever, there's no point trying to rebuild it or change the windows stained glass to the modern 21st century type, because it's a part of heritage. It's not industrial heritage, sorry. It's I would just say English heritage basically, and we would be ashamed to lose a lot of it. It also could become overcrowded. An influx of people, if it becomes a trend, I mean, the poor top-heavy who make the population top-heavy, they're retired, they might get a bit worried or a bit scared that a lot of these people have come, and that might bring new problem, because if it doesn't attract the right type of commuters, it might attract crime. You never know. The second option is gentrification. This is when they want to rebrand, but they want to attract other socio-economic classes, because the thing is, as I said, it doesn't attract the wealthy at the moment. It attracts the sort of middle class type of bracket, or it doesn't attract very high people who have a lot of spending power. It attracts the normal people. And by doing this, so if they can find a way of attracting the same, the people who don't have much money to spend, as well as attracting people who are, let's say, more rich. By attracting this, it's more economic injections into an area, and it could be like, how rich areas usually drain out poor areas. It's called the backwash effect. It would be changing that, because it would be like London money's coming to a more poorer area, and it could change the whole dynamics. We could have more cultural diversity. You attract different groups. Suppose they go for, I don't know, if they decide to aim it at Irish people, let's say, and they do Irish festivals to attract them here, because maybe in the town, if there was no Irish people before, you're increasing the diversity. That you might see shops where they sell specialist Irish items. I don't know, but it's like you're going to increase the diversity. It's like, imagine the Poles have come to the UK. We have benefited from this diversity. They open Polish supermarkets. We get to try new types of food, and it just is very good in that way. But they can take over small businesses, because if we, to attract different type of markets, suppose they're really wealthy, and we put in Hilton Hotel and Marriott Hotel and these kind of things, then small businesses, which may be hotels, they may lose out because they can't compete, and they may not want to go to those. They might want to go to the big shopping malls. And could it be that we're actually turning Walton-On-The-Naze into another clone town? That's another problem. And also, sometimes some classes don't seem to get along. So if you have the very lowest range of people who have the lowest income and the highest, there might be conflicts. They might drive each other out. We might see problems like that arising. It's difficult to keep your hands in all the pockets. the Sunshine Coast. Now this is a term they want to use to work on tourism, to build tourism, you know, to build on the holiday resort. I mean, it's good because that image is already there. In the 1950s and 60s, Walton-On-The-Naze was already known tourist location. We just need to build on that. It's already there. It's not a completely new image they have to create. It's good for the economy. Injections will come in, you know, but the thing is, the residents could be reluctant because, you know, it's like when people think about going to Oxford or Cambridge, they think, I want a place to study, but do I want a place to study where there's a lot of tourists? It's that kind of thing. Residents might feel uncomfortable that walking around, they just see tourists. I mean, what happened to the town, the residents? And it could be overcrowded in the summer. In the summer, there's beautiful weather, there's a beach there, tons of tourists come in. It could be overcrowded. Pollution, traffic, disruption, all of these things are sort of, how are they going to cope with that, the town? Because in Cornwall, with the Eden Project, they tried to encourage public transport, but that didn't seem to work. So we'll have to see what Walton-On-The-Naze can do. Environmental value, this is becoming more and more important, as we've seen with the Urban Regeneration 2012 Games. They want to base regeneration on the environment, so perhaps create zoos or habitats or greenways or something like that. And you know, this is good. It could increase biodiversity, habitat species, and like in Blackpool, they encourage cycling as a part of a regeneration thing. They could do something like that, create a cycling town, perhaps something different. And already it's a SSSI, which is a scientific specific site of scientific interest, and so it could attract a completely new market from holiday makers, beach holiday makers, to maybe the environmentalists it could attract. But the problem is, if the government overspend, or the authorities overspend in this area, then they might not have enough money to build on housing for the people. And what comes first, people or the environment? This question is very hard to answer. It's not a straightforward one. It's not the environment or the people. The end of it is they work hand in hand. But we'll go to that in another video. Flagship developments. Now these are like what they plan to do. Walton-On-The-Naze, similar to Blackpool, is to attract the gambling market and create a new casino. I think they did this in Blackpool by creating a super casino. I'll check with you on that. It's quite a controversial thing because gambling, you know, that's why like in the States, some places of it is illegal, so much gambling, and some is legal. It's a very controversial topic because people get addicted, blah blah blah, leads to a lot of other effects. It can bring money in and new service, new jobs, create a whole new kind of identity to the town that it didn't have before. It could do that. You could see that more young people will want to change the whole image of Walton-On-The-Naze. It might now be a casino for the aristocrats. We never know. But although it could bring a bad image, because many people, if they do gambling, then this may lead to sometimes there's connections with drinking problems. Well, I'm not quite sure how the connection works, but people are concerned with the antisocial behavior, and it could bring a bad image. Also, if they're locals or people who decide to live near the casino, playing in the casino, and they're losing money, it could increase debt, and people who have debt, they can't spend money and boost the local economy, so it could be a trade-off between the two. Retirement centre. This is where they want to focus on the regeneration for the over 60s, because that is the main population, the core population of Walton-On-The-Naze. It's good because if we do that, you can attract, because if they build it as a place for retired people and a peaceful location, they could attract more retired people who may be rich, and they may bring in the grey pound, which they would love to spend. Provides jobs. It can attract further elderly, which is not always a bad thing, although it is a bad thing because they don't work. So, you know, we need people who can work and bring some skills and stuff into the economy as well. They will also, many of them will require full-term carers, volunteers, and I don't think people with those jobs want to go to places where there's no other people younger of their age. You know, there might not be any more nightclubs, people might feel like whatever. It could scare younger people and families that they've got like no one as such except for the elderly to turn to as their neighbours. How will their neighbours protect their house when they go on holiday? Or could it be that young people that are there say, oh, let's take opportunity and let's burgle them, let's rob them. Crime could increase. and it's hard if you have a top-heavy population and a thin one to take the taxes from the thin and sort of give state pension and help and find incentives to play just on a local level, not on a national, to actually cover costs and support the elderly. The last thing they're thinking of doing is a festival town. It's a bit like Reading. They want to attract festival goers and conference markets with a range of special effects. It's a bit like Reading Music Festival. It attracts millions of young people every year. They bring in money, etc., etc. So that's what they thought you could do in Walton-On-The-Naze. Good idea. Tourists come. We already saw the benefits of tourism. Bring money, jobs, economic injection. Although it's quite a small town, so it might overpower if you have too much going on in a small area. That might not be so good. Also litter and pollution and noise, and especially if they're quite elderly people, they may not approve of this. Locals, residents may not be happy, as I said, because of that traffic disruption. Anyway, those are the 7 items. I need to finish this video right now. That was it because the time is running out. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed. Please visit my blog.